Guys, we are less than 2 weeks away from World's Strongest Man and the groups have finally been announced. We excited?
I'm so excited.
You were excited watching yesterday, I could tell.
Midnight, we were up,
You were probably more excited than I was, I think.
This past year has changed me. I need to get a life, really.
You do, really. We need to get you some hobbies. Anyway, the groups for World's Strongest Man have been announced. We're going to go through them. We're going to put them up quickly, actually, so people that just want to see the groups can see, and then we'll discuss and give you some of our thoughts on each individual group.
So if you're not interested in over-analysing the groups like we are, then here they are in all of their glory. Take a screenshot, take it away, bit of bedtime reading, there you go. So then the athletes in Group 1, we have Maxime Boudreau, Graham Hicks, Travis Altmaier, Brian Shaw and Ivers Schmuckstelis.
So straight away we're looking at this group thinking, wow,
Damn.
This is stacked with great guys. Maxime, up and coming, had his first Worlds last year, which would have given him a great amount of experience. But in some of the one-day shows, he's done extremely well. He's looking very, very strong. You got the 4-time champion, who is looking very, very good in his training videos, Brian Shaw. Ivers Schmuckstelis has had an incredible last couple of years.
Yeah.
Won the Champions League.
Third at WUS.
Third in the WUS Bahrain contest. Made the final of Worlds last year. You've also got Graham Hicks in this group, who was in the final. He qualified for the final last year, unfortunately picked up an injury, so he didn't get a chance to show what he could do in the final. And then you got the return of Travis Altmaier.
Yeah.
Now, Travis, how's his level going to be to compare against these guys? One thing I know about Travis, he's a great stone lifter. And if he's in that top 3 and battling on the stones, he's got a chance. You know, this is a really, really stacked group. Very, very quickly, without kind of looking at the events and stuff, you'd pick Brian Shaw's come out on top.
Brian has never not won his group at World's Strongest Man since, hold on, since 2010, he has won his group every year. I think that's right. I'm going to check.
We will check Liz's knowledge there.
But I'm pretty certain he's won his group every year since 2010.
Which is incredible in itself.
One thing that really jumps out to me straight away from this group, so all 10 finalists from last year are returning, which to me makes the seeding really easy. Well, easier. But they've got 3 finalists from last year in this one group. So I think that's quite interesting because straight away then you know that there's going to be at least one group with less.
Yeah, I agree. I think, especially because we haven't had too many contests between then and now, I was surprised to see 3 of the finalists in the same group.
I would have thought the seeding would be based more on last year's direct results because, like you said, there's not much in between.
A normal year where you've had a lot of qualifiers and you can see what kind of shape people are in, it's a little bit different. But I think you kind of almost have to go on last year's Worlds with the seeding. So very, very surprised to see 3 finalists from last year in the same group. And, you know, Brian Shaw, a potential winner.
Yeah. What do you think they will get? Do you think they'll get squat or deadlift?
I think this will be a deadlift group.
I agree. I think deadlift. And what about train pull or fingers?
If it's fingers, it's bad news for Hicksy.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at well, I say that.
So Brian is dominant in both.
Brian, you can see doing excellent in both those events. I think Travis has had experience with the fingers, so he'll probably like it if it's fingers.
It's crazy because Graham's so strong overhead, isn't he?
I think Graham's been training it. Maxime as well, very good overhead. But the finger is a kind of big man event. It tends to suit the taller guys. So it's going to be an interesting one when the events come out.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that's clear is it doesn't matter what you throw at Brian. I think Brian will come through the group.
I think so too.
Brian has a number of things on his side. He's great at so many events, and if he does happen to be in the second or third place, he's an incredible stone lifter.
But one quick thing, if Ivers Schmuckstelis ends up in the stone off, he's going to be really hard to beat. He is incredible at stones. WUS Bahrain, he was winning the stones, quite clearly beating Tom. He wasn't head-to-head with Tom, but he was beating his time. He fell back on the final on the 10th stone. We should point out, it wasn't a standard 5-stone.
He is very good at stones, but it's a weird one when it comes to stones. And yeah, I certainly wouldn't count him out, but I wouldn't even count someone like Travis out if it came to the stones. It's going to depend who's in that battle. I mean, we've trained with Hicksy. We know how good he is at repping a 200 kilo stone.
He's so strong. It's just ridiculous.
You know, the real battle will come down to who is in that fight off.
I hate the stone off. I so miss just all the athletes doing the stones. To me, that was so much more exciting.
I think apparently there are a few rule changes for it this year to try and make it a little bit better.
It's never better.
We'll see what happens. Once we know the events for this group, I'll give an official top 2 prediction.
An official prediction.
Official Uncle Loz prediction. But just looking at kind of just the group, I'm going to pick Brian Shaw to come through.
And second?
Like I said, I need to see the events to pick second. I think it doesn't matter what the events. I think Brian will get through.
I agree.
I think the events will become more of a factor for Hicksy, for Schmuckstellus, for Travis, for Maxime. I think they're all great athletes. They really are. But I would put Brian above them all, no matter what the events are. So Group 2, another interesting group. We've got at his 16th World's Strongest Man contest, more than anyone ever, the legend that is Mark Felix. Johnny Hansen from Sweden competing this year, great European athlete. Doesn't do that many big internationals, but he's a very, very good strongman. Trey Mitchell, Evan Singleton, and Tom Stoltman, 3 of the best up-and-coming strongmen on the planet right now. I mean, say up-and-coming, they're world-class.
Yeah,
you know, they're not up-and-coming,
they're established,
but they're established youngsters that are in the sport. And that's an interesting group. You've only got one finalist from last year in this group, although Evan pretty much made the final and then unfortunately took an injury.
Yeah.
Now, this is a really tough group.
Yeah.
Really tough.
Yeah.
You have 2 of the absolute best stone lifters on the planet in the same group. And then you have Evan Singleton. Now, this is by no means any disrespect to Johnny or Mark Felix, but I cannot see those guys getting through this group.
It's going to be so hard.
It's going to come down to Tom, Trey, and Evan. And I feel, and I genuinely feel Evan could win this group. Yeah. But I feel he has to win the group to get through.
He can't afford to do the stone off,
no.
I think.
If say Tom wins and it's Evan against Trey, I'd pick Trey to win the stones. If Trey wins the group and it's Evan against Tom, you pick Tom to win the stones. I would still pick Tom over Trey if it came down to that. That's a hell. I think World's Strongest Man won that battle.
Yeah.
It seems like, you know, they're 2 of the absolute best stone lifters. Trey had that epic battle with Novikov a couple of years back. I think Tom comes through this group. I think Tom wins it.
Do you think this is a deadlift or a squat group?
I think this is a deadlift group.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it has to be a deadlift group. Looking at the athletes.
Trey, yeah. I also think this is going to be a fingers group.
Which should be good for Tom. Tom,
yes, he's got that height
ridiculous
advantage.
height. I think Evan will be good at things like the fingers. He's big, strong, aggressive.
Yeah.
He'll attack them. Johnny Hansen could be very good at the fingers as well.
It's the thing, when you don't know someone so well, there's always that
notoriously not the best event for Felix.
No.
Trey would be a bit of an unknown. I've never seen him do an event like that.
No.
I think Tom's looking great on the overhead medley, but I think Evan will be awesome on that, and I think Trey will be too. It's going to come down to who's in.
Who do you think wins the group? It's such a hard one.
It's a very, very hard group to pick. I really think Evan has a chance. I think we need to see what the events are, but he's such an aggressive, determined athlete.
But you wouldn't bet against Tom either, would you?
No, not at all. And the one for me that gets through to the final definitely is Tom. Because I think
no matter what, if he's in the
I don't see Tom not being in the top 3.
No.
That would just be, unless he got injured or something.
Yeah, it would have to be a travesty. Yeah.
And I genuinely believe Tom is the best stone lifter on the planet.
Yeah, I agree.
I've never seen someone. I mean, there's great guys at stones, but just that natural ability that he has, I think Tom gets through this group. I think Evan has a chance, but he has to win the group.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he ends up against Trey or Tom, then it's going to be really hard. And he posted a video very recently of him doing stones, saying like it's been the hardest event for him to come back to after his injury. So and when you're going against guys that are so good, it's a big ask.
Yeah,
but anything can happen.
Anything can happen. We've seen that before. And, it's going to be an exciting group for sure.
So many guys I'm rooting for in that group. It's a really tough one. When you see the groups and you think, oh, man, so many of my favourites probably aren't even going to be in the final. It's tough.
World's Strongest Man is tough these days. Every single group is stacked.
So then Group 3, we have JF Caron. Ethor Ingolfsson, Robert Oberst, Luke Richardson, and Mikhail Shivlikov. What do you think of this group?
It's another good group, and I'm going to say this is a squat group.
Yes, definitely. Without question, I would say this is a squat group with Rob Oberst, which makes it harder because if it's a deadlift group with Rob Oberst in, he drops a lot of points.
I think Rob wants a squat.
Oh yeah, Rob would definitely want to squat. Luke Richardson, obviously coming from powerlifting, incredibly strong statically.
I mean, Luke and JF are both monster squatters.
Yeah.
No, Ethor's improved. I don't know what his squat is like. I've not seen Ethor squatting. So he's built to squat. He's in good shape for squatting. Shivlikov, I think, would prefer a deadlift.
I agree.
I think Robert will be happy with a squat. I think Robert will be happy if there's a fingers as well.
Yeah.
He's got that height and size.
It gives Robert a great chance if it is fingers and squat. A lot of people on the channel make jokes and stuff, but I think
Robert is a bit of an overrated strongman in terms of sometimes he's kind of put up there with like Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall. Robert is not that level, but Robert is still a world-class strongman. And like I say many, many times, and I bore the hell out of you all, it's all about the events. Robert with a deadlift, he's not going anywhere. Robert with certain events is not so good. With events that suit him, he's a very decent strongman.
And they're all doing the overhead medley, aren't they?
They are, and that could be a good event for him. Yeah. I think the one thing with the overhead medley, it's not really about who's the strongest. It's about who's the most efficient.
Yeah.
So it's transitioning between. I beat Eddie Hall at an overhead medley. I'm nowhere near as strong as Eddie overhead, but I was very good at adapting between different implements. And someone like JF, who's not the best in terms of brute power, he's got that experience of different implements. Even Shivlikov is very good overhead and can transition between different implements. Robert Oberst has that extreme power. It's whether he's quick enough on the transition. Luke is just getting better and better. I think. Luke did amazing last year to make the final first year. I think having that experience from last year is going to do him a wonderful good. He's going to come in confident, understands what Worlds is like this year, and I'm expecting a big performance from him.
I am too.
Hard group to pick, though.
Really hard. Who wins this group for you? I know it's so event dependent, but
I'm going to go with JF Karan. I think JF is such a
third last year
professional. He's consistently on the podium in internationals. Did well at the Shaw Classic last year, did well at Worlds, did well at Bahrain. He's consistently performing well. He looks really strong. You just know he's going to come in and put in a professional performance. Whether he can win the whole thing is a different matter, but he's always there or thereabouts. And then I'm going to put my money on Luke Richardson. Yeah. I think Oberst, despite what people might think, I think Oberst this is probably, if he gets the right events, he has a chance. But I think Luke is just going to be too good. Luke he's a better squatter. He's a better deadlifter by a country mile.
It's going to come down to stones, though. If JF wins, who wins out the stones between Luke and Rob? I still say Luke.
It's going to be interesting because you can't count out Shivlikov and Ethor either.
No, you can't. Shivlikov nearly qualified
I don't think we're going to see anyone sort of run away with this group.
No, I don't think so.
I think it could be a real battle between like sort of 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
If it does come down to the stones, Shivlikov isn't the best stone lifter.
No.
I don't think Ethor is good enough. I think it will be a battle. I mean, if JF is in the stone, he's a good stone lifter. Robert's a good stone lifter. Luke's a good stone lifter. So this is
really tough one to call.
It's not one where you think that it's not like Tom's in the group or where you've got that clear someone's that much better.
Nothing's obvious in this group. It's hard to pick who's going to win it. And it's hard to pick who
I
could
look
win the
forward to
stones.
seeing the exact events that they've got.
Yes, definitely.
Because that will be...
But I'm certain that's a squat group and...
I would think so.
Truck pull. And train pull, sorry.
Truck pull or fingers? It's hard to...
It's so hard.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Once we know. And would it make a difference?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, nothing... Does it change anything? Obviously it does, but nothing is jumping out to me going, oh, well, then that's really going to suit that person.
Because... I think it's going to be a battle, this group. It's a tough group, definitely. Should we move on to group number 4? Yes. Right, group number 4. This is stacked. Adam Bishop, Terry Hollands, Konstantin Janasha on the comeback, Chris van der Linde from South Africa, and Jerry Pritchett. Now, the one thing that really surprised me watching the show yesterday is that they had Adam Bishop as the seed, I guess, in this group.
As the head seed, yeah.
Now,
Whereas Jerry came fourth.
That's not to say Adam doesn't deserve to be.
Yeah.
But Jerry beat him last year at Worlds. So that was a bit of a surprise to me. And this is a tough group because you've got Bish, who's in great form. You've got Jerry, who was fantastic last year, probably the best we've ever seen him. Terry Hollands is looking very good, and Terry actually did very well at Worlds last year.
He did.
And Terry is, again,
Terry's
one of those
best at
guys.
Worlds.
Terry likes the slower contests.
Yeah.
He likes getting more rest in between events. And if he gets the right events, as we saw,
This is going to be a ridiculous
Terry at a
group.
truck pull, I'd say, is better than any of those.
Yeah.
If this is a deadlift group, which it most likely is, looking at the guys.
It's going to be an outrageous deadlift group.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Adam Bishop, Terry Hollands, Konstantin Janasha, and Jerry Pritchett. I don't know about Chris's deadlift.
I think he's good from what I've heard,
Then
but you've got
insanity.
4 of the biggest deadlifters of all time. I'd say 3 of them right now are 3 of the biggest deadlifters.
Yeah, especially for reps.
Wow.
A heavy rep. Oh, it's just insane.
I mean,
There's
it could be a squat group.
It won't be a squat group.
But I think you'd like to see them deadlift.
Yeah. It would be madness to make this a squat group. It has to be deadlift shortly.
Now, one thing that will be interesting, the train pull, the Hercules, the fingers, that will be interesting. The front hold, the overhead medley. Konstantin, if he's in shape, he's come 4th at World's Strongest Man before.
Yeah.
He's a great strongman. If you go on one-day shows, he's done extremely well. He's had a bit of a break. He hasn't done that well in most of his recent contests. He did go to Russia and do pretty well out there.
Yeah.
But is he back to his best? And that's going to be the big question.
If he is, then this group is insane.
Yeah.
And if we see 2020 World's Strongest Man Jerry, then this group is just completely insane.
I think this is one. I mean, people have kind of messaged me asking me which groups I think. I think this is one of the absolute toughest groups.
Yeah.
When you look at it on paper, I mean, you've got 4 former finalists.
Yeah.
You've got 2 people there that have been in the top. So you've got 3 people there that have been in the top 4 of World's Strongest Man. Bish has been in the final the last few years in a row. This is a very, very tough group. And I think it will be very competitive. You can look at it on paper and think that's a tough group, and sometimes it just falls apart.
Yeah.
I actually think this will be a really tough group. I think
think
they've
so
all
too.
got different strengths. I think,
Who wins this group?
it's a really hard one. Jerry, if he doesn't get injured, is a very consistent performer, and he's proved he's in shape recently. Adam, very, very smart, peaks really well. I think, all his training has gone towards this. He's improved his overhead. His deadlift for reps are amazing. His moving is really good. And I think the overhead will suit him not being that heavy.
Yeah.
I think Adam is
definitely
is good at the transition between implements. He's fast.
It's interesting as well.
I'm gonna kind of pick Adam and Jerry to get through, but I wouldn't be surprised if Terry and Janasha are kind of.
How do they get through though? Did Adam win the group and Jerry won the stone off? Did Jerry win the group and Adam won the stone off?
This is another group as well. There's no standout stone performer.
No.
So potentially they could all beat each other on that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be exciting to see who is second and third.
Yeah.
To see them go head to head. But there's no one that's like, you don't say it's not like a Brian Shaw or a
Tom Stolman. No.
They're all good, solid stone lifters.
Yeah.
So it's going to be how much energy they've got by that point, how they're performing.
On this one, I'm going to have the exact events. I'm going to have to order them for each event and literally do the math because I just can't call it just looking at it.
I think it's a very exciting group.
Hard.
I think it sucks for Terry and Adam as they're very good friends.
I was
they're
gonna
training
say
partners.
that, yeah.
It sucks being in the same group as your training partner because they both want to win. It's as simple as that.
And they both want to be able to support each other as well, which you can't really do when someone's in your group. It's you know,
it's tough.
You're not really willing.
I am looking forward to seeing Janasha back.
Yeah,
and Janasha in shape is tremendously dangerous. So you got it's a tough one.
Yeah,
I'm going to pick Jerry to get through.
Okay.
As the group winner. I got to see the events.
We're non-committal.
I think Jerry and Bish. I do.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my kind of head and heart are going to go in.
Yeah.
But I really wouldn't be surprised.
On names and recent performances, but it just is. I just don't know.
Do you know what could cost Terry?
Go on.
The front hold.
Yes.
The
which every group
axe
is
hold.
doing. Pickaxe hold. We don't know though yet if it's.
I don't know.
But I'm guessing it's front.
So group number 5, and on paper this just looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
You got Gav Bilton, who's now the 2 times UK strongest man. Kevin Fairs, who we've been massively impressed with the last couple of years.
He's getting better every year.
The champion, Alexei Novikov. Luke Stoltman and Bobby Thompson, all in the same group. That's a stacked group.
It's a ridiculous group. But I mean, if we're going on recent competition placings, like I think sometimes we get so sucked in by the names.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? And we see these names and go, oh my God, this is insane. But then Bobby is still an upcomer. We know he's a monster, but we know there are weaknesses there. Stones is one of them, moving's one of them. Luke, if this ends up being a deadlift group, that's a weakness which we saw come through last year.
Do you think this is a squat or deadlift group?
I think it has to be. Based on the amount of squat and deadlift groups there are, I think this has to be a squat group, which will be much better for Luke if that is the case than if it's a deadlift group.
I think this is a squat group.
Yeah.
And I think that's good for Luke.
Yeah.
I do.
So are we going to assume Alexei wins the group?
Yes.
Based on current performances?
Based on, I think he's one of the absolute best strongmen on the planet right now.
Yeah.
You could chuck any event at him.
Yeah.
He's coming out on top.
Okay. If he ended up in the stone off, do you think there's anyone there that could beat him on stones?
I think Luke Stoltman is one of the most underrated athletes on stones.
Yeah.
Luke is not far behind his brother.
Yeah.
He's not Tom.
Yeah.
But he's not that far off. I've seen Luke win many stone events in competitions.
Yeah.
If he's in shape, I would pick Luke, to get through against any of those on a stone off.
So let's say something weird happens. Alexei's in the stone off against Luke. Is Luke as calm, collected, and laser focused as Alexei
I think that's
enough
a battle.
to win?
I think that's a battle.
Yeah,
when I say Luke can beat the rest of them,
yeah,
I think that's presuming Alexei wins the group. Alexei's stones have improved a lot since he had that battle with Trey Mitchell. His stones were very good in Bahrain. His stones were very good in the final last year. He's improved them, and he is just a relentless machine.
Yeah.
Luke is also an extremely good stone. I think if Luke can finish in the top 3, he can get through on the stones. The problem is, can he be top 3? Because you've got Kevin, who is
there's nothing guaranteed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You got Bobby, who's awesome.
Yeah.
And I feel for Gav because Gav's improved so much. But I do feel he's the big underdog in this group. I think he can have events where he will surprise a few people.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's good enough all round yet to challenge these guys to make the final. Sorry, Gav, I love you, but I just think you need another year of improving in certain areas.
This is an unlucky group to land yourself in, isn't it? It's.
I mean, there's only one guy that was in the final last year in this. Oh, two guys. Sorry, you've got Kevin as well. Luke has been in the final before. Bobby,
Not
American log record holder, his deadlift is huge. I'm presuming he can squat massive weights.
And do you know the sad thing? Obviously, there's a max log, and we would want to see both Luke Stoltman and Bobby Thompson in that event in the final. But it's just with Alexei, I don't see how that's possible.
You can't count on Kevin. Kevin has had a great year. Every comp he does, he's good. He's athletic. He's strong. He's determined. This is another really stacked group. But, I think we're always going to put money on Alexei to get through.
Yeah.
And then I think it's a real battle between Kevin, Bobby, and Luke Stoltman.
Yeah.
If Luke can be in that top 3, I'm picking him to get into the final.
Yeah, it's a shit. I would love to see Bobby in the final as well. But obviously, I really hope he's been working those stones hard, because he said they're a bit of a weakness for him. We did see that a little in Wus Bahrain.
Yep.
And you just can't, at World's Strongest Man, you can't afford to not be a great stone lifter anymore. Like, you have to prioritise it now, because it's been guaranteed forever, but because of the stone off.
You know it's going to be in the heats. You know it's going to be in the final.
Yeah.
It's such a
And it's
basically,
event. It's the decider always at Worlds. So.
Wow. So it's going to be exciting to know the exact events.
Yeah.
That will possibly make a difference.
It will. It will make a difference.
Yeah,
I think we're right with how we've guessed the deadlift and squat, though.
I do think the World's Group 5 is a tough one. You know, there's a lot of really strong guys, but...
See, I never feel that the groups are 100% balanced. And
how can they be?
I don't think you can scientifically sort of quantify that.
The thing is,
you're never going to please everyone. But I was about to say something nice. I do feel that this is one of the better jobs that they've done in terms of seeding and group splits compared to some of the shit shows that we've seen in the past. I think this is actually not bad.
I think we'll always, as fans, look at the groups and go, "Oh, look, that's ridiculous," because we've got favourites as well. Yeah. You know, there's people that we really like, but then when you look deeper. And you think, well, let's look at the events. Let's look at who's won things in the past. Suddenly you start looking at these groups and thinking, okay, they're pretty fair. And, you know, no matter what they are on paper, 9 times out of 10, things don't plan out how you think they will. And there's so many variables and factors at World's Strongest Man. So I'm excited about these groups. I really like them. Once I know the exact events that people have, we will bring you our predictions for each group. But we've given you a good idea of what we think.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about the groups, guys. Comment below who you think is going to get through from each group, what events you want to see them do, and are you excited about seeing these groups and the battles that lay ahead. While you're here, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my awesome strength content.